Alrighty, so thought my microphone was full on broken for a sec there and was freaking out. Somehow my volume got put down. I didn't put it down to like 10, should be on 100. Anyway, moving on, onwards and upwards, hopefully. I hope you had a good week for Supercoach. I have not had a good week yet again. So it's pretty much what do you call that? A dumpster fire. That's the season so far, and that's how it's going to end because there's only 2 rounds left, unfortunately. And as we know, as the season dwindles into a what do you call that? Like a dying ember. Um, Fizzles out as the season fizzles out. No one really cares anyway. And you know, it's been nice to watch it and not even care. Like watching short. I don't even know if I watched that game, but players like that and just been like, hey, I don't even care. I don't even care anymore. I'm used to it, sort of thing. So yeah, and then seeing a player like Dawson or Laird do well, and it's like, I actually don't care. Come at me. Anyway, undo these changes because we know that Cripps is out. Probably going to be slightly beneficial, but like I said, season's done, man. Season's done. This is how we went for the week. Minus 624 at this point in the season. It's over. That was the. I mean, it was already gone probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, but not wanted to be top 1%. 5%. That's. I'm gonna have a worse rank than I did last year, and yeah, just not good enough. But yeah, it was looking sort of sitting pretty before maybe the very last buy round. I was ahead of JD and NO, and George was only just ahead of me by like 150 points, and then they just broke away. A big part of that's been Laird and Dawson. Um, but yeah, don't really know. Having Walsh hasn't been great. Parrish getting injured really didn't help. Yeah, there's plenty of things. You can point to a whole number of things. But yeah, you pretty much had to have Laird and Dawson in the run home if you wanted to sort of climb the ranks at least. It was too painful not having them. So yeah. Anyway, season's pretty much over. We've got 2 rounds left. Who really cares? Big news this week's Cripps is injured. Actually, let's have a look at the teams. I might be wrong about that. There could be some bigger news. And I shouldn't say injured. I should say he got suspended. Although I did read that they're going for a last gasp appeal. So we'll see what happens with that. At least the footy's entertaining. Like, it's such a good season of actual footy. It makes me think, maybe I shouldn't have played Supercoach and I should have just watched the footy and enjoyed it. But no, Supercoach has still been really fun, even though I ended up doing terribly, which is really sad and embarrassing. But that's what happens sometimes. Jackson Archer. I wonder if that's that guy's son. The Wayne Carey's. I think he was the captain of the team when Wayne Carey bonked that other guy's wife. I mean, how do you recover from that? From like every party involved. I mean, that is horrific. I mean, the perpetrators, terrible. Like, terrible. Like they would never. It would be tough to probably just go a day without remembering what they did, let alone the people that bore witness, and then the poor bugger, the main victim, the guy that had his wife get bunked by Wayne Carey, and he's like, wow, that hurts. That hurts. Anyway, enough about Wayne Carey. Apparently he got in a punch up with him. Tell you what, this is actually pretty funny. Apparently they had I don't know, call it a 25-year reunion, something like that. I think it might have been a 25-year reunion. And they did a big parade. They had a huge get-together, and they're like, look, Wayne did a lot of bad things, but hey, we'll have him along. And I can't remember the guy's name. It's like something Andrews or Andrew something. And yeah, he's the guy that had his wife bonked by Wayne Carey. And at the time, Wayne Carey, I mean, he's top shelf, hot stuff. You might have said in the late '90s. Probably there was few men that were more, what do you call it, sought after than Wayne Carey. So anyway, they have a party or something, and Wayne in a bathroom whilst there's a party going on with a large number of the North Melbourne Kangaroos, which are a really successful, good team at that time. And while the party's going on, Wayne and this guy's wife end up having a brief sexual session in the bathroom. And I think Jackson Archer might have been, no, not Jackson Archer, his dad, somewhat Glenn Archer, who's like a hard nut backman. I mean, he's sort of short, and I reckon in today's day and age, maybe it's a bit mean to say it, but he probably wouldn't be able to play professional football. Like, he's a little bit kind of fat from memory and like kind of short, and he's like playing on key forwards. Look, he's a legend of the game and stuff like that, so could be completely wrong, and maybe his hustle and bustle and his will to get the fist to the ball might outweigh his physical limitations. Anyway, enough about him. Not trying to shit on the guy. I think he might have been the one who saw it happen. I don't know about that. That's completely unsubstantiated, and not too sure. Anyway, they had a big gathering, all of them, 25 years later, just last week, and apparently Wayne Carey and the victim, the guy, had a big verbal disagreement. And Wayne came out in the media and said, I was just like trying to look out for him or make sure he's all good or something like that. But it's like, what the hell? That seems strange. I don't buy it for a second. You know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly the best track record for like, am I going to believe this guy's story? Nevertheless, they go on this big parade, which was a big deal. Obviously, a lot went into it to create the whole event and everything like that. And the victim, I really wish I knew his name, Andrews. Let's just call him Andrews. Andrews didn't attend. And I think he might have even been the organizer. He's like some North Melbourne higher up, like has some sort of executive position in the North Melbourne hierarchy. So he's gone and organised this whole thing, and he hasn't even gone to his own event because, or you can only assume, because he had a bit of a verbal bust-up with Wayne Carey the night before, and Wayne's like, oh, mate, I was just trying to, lend a helping hand to an old mate. What a crock of shit. Probably. Don't really know. Don't know what happened. But, yeah, anyway, I guess the moral of the story is don't do what Wayne did, and it's hard to believe someone for a second when someone does something like that. That's just the, I don't know, the bed you chose and you now have to sleep in it. One of those sort of situations. Anyway, on a lighter note for North Melbourne, Ben Cunnington. He's somewhat Supercoach relevant. I reckon he could have gone 110 plus in at least one season that he's played. He's had a few, red hot patches throughout the last 2 or 3 years, but he got cancer, unfortunately for the poor bugger. Seems like a top-notch guy. Doesn't like the camera. He's not into the limelight. Just a head down, ass up. I don't know if that's even the right term, but type operator. So good on him. He's back, and I think the boys will probably. Oh, Horn Francis omitted. That's telling. I don't mind that. They've said, look, the big dog's back in town, and the guy who's been a little bit of a drama queen, if we're all going to be kind of honest about it, he's the one who's getting the flick, as well as Hugh Greenwood, who's been a disappointment since moving over from the Gold Coast. Anyway, some positive news there for North Melbourne in the wake of the Wayne Carey controversy. But you tell you what, he'll probably. I was going to say he might be commentating that game, but probably not, because he usually does, I think, Saturday nights. So he'll be doing the Melbourne versus Carlton on Saturday. Oh, that's a fire game, that one. What a game that is. So Paddy Dow's been omitted despite Cripps getting kicked out, and Will Setterfield omitted. What kind of midfield are they going with? Chera, Walsh, Stocker. Cripps has been named? What? Well, am I in the right place? What are you talking about? Oh, don't tell me. This is just classic Supercoach. I mean, just one more kick in the nuts before the end of the season, eh? Like, I say that, like, obviously I have Cripps, but at the same time, like, I know I've got more trades probably than most people that have Cripps still. So it probably was going to be beneficial to me, but, I mean, come on. He can't seriously be playing. As if, bro. Blues front, yeah. That doesn't mean he's going to play. Says it would be tough to. Well, how you season on the line stuff, Blues to launch, blah blah blah. Cripps hearing from 6 p.m. AEST. I've got 7:23. I don't know. See if anything's happened in the live blog. I doubt it. I mean, we'll bring you blah blah blah. And there's Cripps appeal onto the bump. Highly critical of the term. I don't see anything. We're 50 minutes in. Nothing's happened. So how about you come to a conclusion already so the boys aren't left in limbo? Anyway, probably going to drop him. And happy to see him go. I ended up bringing him in. Probably a bad move in the end. I said Cripps was going to be crap, and I said, oh man, I picked so many good things, like a psychic at the start of the season, man. One failure I'm happy to put my hand up and say is I thought Lockie Neal wouldn't make it. I thought that he would kind of be a disappointment when everyone thought he was going to bring it. I thought he was over the hill and he was done for, but he's proven that he was actually a great pick, and he's actually run out the season sort of okay. I don't even know. I don't think he's gone less than a ton for quite a while now. And average 126, 5-round average, not incredible, not Lockie Neal level. I probably wouldn't start him next year because his average is quite high, and he came out like a bull out of the gate. But yeah, I did think Lockie Neal was going to be one of those ones that everyone got. He was like probably the highest owned player going into the start of the season, and yeah, for good reason in the end. Zach Butters, I said, would be a terrible pick. I brought him in like an idiot, but he also went out like a bull out of the gate. And Cripps, I said, would fall off at the end of the season. I said, who do you choose? Because you can only make 2 trades, or you're not going to use a trade boost week 1 unless you're Supercoach George. But it's like you can only use 2 trades. So who do you pick? Cripps, Neal, or Butters after the first 2 rounds? Because I think Cripps also popped off. So like my heart said Cripps because I like him the most out of those 3. 132, 162. I like him the most out of those 3, and the transformation of his body and like the hard work and the injuries he's gone through, that's what I like about him. Like I think that part of Cripps is epic and awesome, and I wish him the best, and I hope that he realizes some success in the finals because he deserves it, man. He's been grinding with that team. He's been a workhorse for a really long time, and he's probably no longer the number 1 guy in the team, although you could say that this year maybe he has been right up there anyway. So yeah, for him to realize some success when he didn't get to, whilst he was the best in the team, going through those initial years of his career, probably the first 10 years or something, they were just complete dog shit. You know, maybe he got to go to 1 finals when he was sort of an up-and-comer back in the day. But yeah, it would be really cool if he got to see some success and play some finals, but you know, there's no getting over that run right there. That's a season killer. An absolute season killer, that one. Look at that. What do you average? I end up averaging 110, but not for me, because I didn't get those 2 scores, and he gets a 38 in his second game, and it's like, bro. Yeah, anyway, I didn't think he would be able to run the season out, but I did say a few videos ago that he would have a few big games at the end, because there's some big games coming up and he wants to go into the finals in some good form, and he will. Look at that, those 3 games. What's his 3-round average? 122. That's elite. So wasn't wrong about that. Anyway, this is what I went in last week with. Thompson captain because I got the VC on Oliver. Would have captained Neal otherwise, but yeah, Sean Darcy up to his old tricks of being dog shit. Brody gets 30 disposals, goes 65, something like that. Typical Brody. I reckon, honestly, the Supercoach scoring this year has been absolutely suspect. I mean, I don't think Brody had a single bad game in here, honestly. Maybe his 65 was worthy of an 85, but these were all tons. If it was anyone else, I seriously reckon there's some dingbat. That's right, I said it, dingbat. In Champion Data who traded Brody out after this 129 and was like, that's a clanger. Yeah, oh, that's not a tackle. Or, you know, blah, blah, blah. And did what he could. Oh, that's not worthy of scaling. That's not an important part of the game, or whatever. Whatever they're capable of doing, they did it, and they really screwed him hard. And with anyone that was a Brody owner, got pumped at about this point. And you can see at least 2% of people jumped off of him with that 82. More than 2%, in fact. It's like 2.5%. And I reckon one of those champion data guys was that person. I reckon what happened is he jumped off him and then he went 129 and he was like, oh, nah, oh, we can't be having that. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to use my powers and make him never turn up again for the rest of the season. And I reckon he definitely picked up Jordan Dawson, whose scoring just went ridiculous. Like, it went completely ridiculous. And he's like, he would go like 13 disposals and be on like 100. And it's like, brother, him and Callum Mills. So I just have a few suspicions about a few players. I reckon they don't get clangers when they should. There was one game where I saw Jordan Dawson do 3 clangers and he was on like a ton at half time. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done. So anyway, that's Supercoach for you. You've got to try and pick the players, probably, maybe. I don't know this for sure. But you've probably got to pick the players that are either less malleable in terms of the types of stats they score are never objective. Like a one man-on-man tackle. Like, if they're going to get a tackle, it's like they were the one that made that tackle. It wasn't like a couple of hands in there or some bullshit. That's one thing that could help. And then you want to, I don't know, just observe the market and be like, okay, who's popping off way more than it feels like they should be? Go jump on those guys. Callum Mills and Jordan Dawson this year. Alright. Let's see. Anything else relevant going on? What do we got? Dan Hanbury managed. That's kind of funny. I wish him the best. I hope he comes back and plays well. I think he played pretty good. He might have got like over 25 disposals in his, I don't know, you wouldn't call it a debut game, but more or less. He's been that long out of the game. For the Saints in particular. So, Josh Kennedy, that was awesome. How awesome was that? That was special. And he had a chance to put them either level or in front in like the last 2 minutes of the game. I think he kicked 8 goals in the end. Imagine if he kicked 9 goals and won them the game. That would have just been epic. But in, I don't know, classic fashion, it's always a so close yet so far sort of a narrative. That happens so often in sport, man. So often, like it feels like it's meant to be and then just doesn't happen. Unless you're Diego Maradona, which I watched that the other day, that's on Stan, Diego Maradona story. That guy won the World Cup. He won the Serie A with Napoli, who had been a relegation battle type team. Wow, that guy just went and did it all. But then, obviously, maybe so close yet so far in his just life in general. Poor bugger got severely addicted to cocaine and, got virtually almost obese. So, not exactly the perfect life, but did some things that you would call perfect, and it was special. Like, if you have a look at the scenes when he returns to the Argentinian people after winning them a World Cup, I mean, wow, that's something special. And when he wins that for Naples, who were a relegation battling team, and I don't know, they were the rest of the teams were very like racist towards them, and it was extreme, like a lot of discrimination towards them for being like needing to be washed and like them being dirty and like disgusting and poor and things like that. It was very, very confronting. If you're one of them, I mean, obviously, if you're watching it, it's just like, wow, that sucks. But yeah, it was very brutal. So for them to sort of rise from the ashes in that sort of respect, and then win a title and completely change the complexion of the way people thought about the city as a whole, because now they had achieved such success in a realm that was so well regarded, and any city was striving to do what Naples did. So He was heralded as a hero, not just in Argentina, but in Naples, in Italy. So he did some pretty special things, man, and people like worshipped him like they referred to him in the documentary as a demigod, and yeah, it was an appropriate description. But of course, he's no god, and we found that out. I mean, we already knew it, obviously. He can't be, but yeah, his successes were mirrored by his failures, and that's an all too common story. Alrighty, what are we looking at? What are we looking at? Sorry about that, I got a little distracted. I don't see anything going on really that matters. Willie Rioli, personal reason. So he was out for like 2 years, now he's got personal reason, and he's bailing for a game at least. Patrick Dangerfield, that's entertainment. 101, Took Miller. I'm VCing him, I think. Not many people are going to do that. I think if Took Miller's playing at home, I mean, that part doesn't really matter that much, but if Took Miller's playing and he isn't going to get tagged, he's your guy. I think that's like the way I look at him at the moment. Has the high ceiling. He's in ripper form. But in saying that, Clayton Oliver's also a great pick. Patrick Cripps ain't going to play, so see you later, Cripper. Toby Green injured. All too familiar story. You expect Western Bulldogs to beat the GWS. Probably going to seal their place in the finals. And you're probably going to see St Kilda, who have Brisbane, fall out. Which will be kind of interesting because it looked a little bit like St Kilda were a lock for a while there. Dylan Shield back, not a lot of relevance. Jackson Mead, not relevant anymore. Bryn Teakle, not getting any. So we've got a loophole there. That's helpful. Don't mind that. A Sunday 4:40 p.m. loophole. Thank you very much. You'll probably end up being like a emergency or something, which would be so frustrating, but hopefully not. Soldo, Mansell, Edwards, nothing going there. And then not a whole lot going on here either. Will Gould, that'd be interesting. I don't even know if that guy's ever played a game, eh? He has been a Supercoach staple. He's going to be like the most Supercoach staple ever for someone that's never even played a game. He'll be in everyone's team next year to start the season. So that's what I did last week. Didn't work out. I was thinking about going Witts to Marshall. That would have been such a fail. But, I think Jared Witts, he was versing Hawthorn. I didn't think they had a very good ruck. I think McAvoy played primarily in the ruck, and he's just too short. So, anyway, presuming Cripps isn't going to play, so it's like, who do you bring in? You don't have a heap of options. So, the biggest curse that I've had this season is bringing in players for the second time. So, it failed with Hall, it failed with... Hall was the worst one. But it failed with Gawn and it failed with Steele. Steele was pretty bad too, got 270s after starting him and trading him out. Bringing him in, gets 270s, have to trade him out again. Unbelievable. Anyway, brought in Darcy Parish. He got like 2 great scores and then had that calf injury affected game, got a 50 or something, and then also got out for a month. And it was just like, wow. Can you believe it? So he's probably going to get injured in the first few minutes, but hey, what have we got to lose? Absolutely nothing. The season's over. We've got 2 rounds left, and who really cares? So, going to VC Took Miller. I'm probably going to use Bryn Teakle as my guy. So I think what I want to do is that. And then, although I think it's a little risky, more so than, say, a Rory Thompson, but sure, it will come back on. Oh, Jacob Ware's not even going to play. But these guys don't benefit me because they're too early. Too early and too early. So, anyway, Miller probably into Oliver. I think I like that. Owen's getting to play, so we've got some emergency cover there. And, interesting. Anyway, Roses will do. It doesn't really matter anymore. So, that's pretty much it. What have we got? So, tonight, it's just about to start. So, it's 7:38. And the NRL was actually pretty juicy. So I think it's Penrith versus, in fact, I know it, it's Penrith versus Melbourne Storm. And have a look at this. This I think is, as far as NRL goes and juicy storylines, I think this is somewhat juicy for a game that's heavily injury affected and a lot of the superstars aren't playing. Let's have a look at Jerome Hughes. Not saying he's played every single game this season, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 misses round 10. I don't think that was a actually misses round 10 and 11. So then he goes into 12. Okay, now I'm going to have to check. Where's my Melbourne guy? Alright, so have a look at Harry Grant. So they versed Penrith in round 10. Okay. And Jerome Hughes plays every game of the season, and then in round 10, he hurts himself. Okay, let's see. Actually, have another look at this. Round 10. So he misses round 10 and 11. Oh, that's right. I remember why. Okay. So he plays every single game of the season. Every single game. Up to round 9. Jerome Hughes. Anyway. A bit of a controversy comes out about him saying mean, derogatory things about people in Penrith. I don't know what he said, but something about them being poor or something like that. And it was after the grand final victory that they had against Penrith, and the Penrith players took it very offensively. They were like, yo, why would you even say that? And Jerome Hughes was like, hey, I'm not that type of guy, blah, blah, blah. Don't know if I believe him, to be honest. I don't think he's that type of guy, but I don't think he's not that type of guy when he's been drinking and he's like, elated, and he might be someone that says stupid shit. Maybe. Well, he certainly did on this occasion. It was derogatory and, just one of those cringe things. Like, why would someone say that? Anyway. It becomes a big thing. And we go into round 10 when they're about to face each other after this controversy has come out for the first time, and they actually targeted him in the grand final last year when Penrith beat Melbourne. And he didn't know why they were targeting him. And he later found out, obviously it came to light what it was, and he was like, oh, that's why they went after me and were saying all that shit to me. And it's like, okay. So he plays every single round of the season, and then it comes to round 10, and I'm like, yo, I want some juicy action. This is some dead set drama that has the potential to unfold, and it could be like super juicy and very entertaining. And then he doesn't play. He has an injury. And then a little bit of people like me, were like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, what are the chances? So then he doesn't play the next game as well. And it's like, maybe there was something going on there, but hey, you're not going to fool me. So after that, I'm pretty sure round 13 was a bye. So he goes 12 by 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Plays, I don't even know, many games in a row, and all of a sudden, he's injured again. And who do they play tonight? They play Penrith. So it's like, if I was on the fence about the second week, which I wasn't, I'm definitely not on the fence about it this time. And it's like, I wanted that juicy action at least. Give me some flavour. Give me some drama, I want to see those Penrith guys finally get after him. But I tell you what it is going to do is when they meet in the finals, which hopefully they do, that's going to be peak juiciness. Peak juiciness. He's avoided them twice, but he can't avoid them for the last game of the season because Craig Bellamy will kick him up the arse and get proper pissed off if he misses the game. He'd have to have his shoulder torn off his, I don't know. He'd have to have the socket torn completely off for him to miss that one, because he is actually super important for them. So anyway, I did see the incident where he got injured, and it did actually kind of look like he could have hurt his shoulder in that situation. It looked more like one of those AC joint sort of injuries where you sort of just push down a bit. There was no dislocation. The way he was holding his shoulder was just like, bruh, come on, as if. And then he misses the game, and they did clear him of any serious damage. So anyway, because Taylor May got booted out of the team, he's actually going to stay in for a week. Oh, what am I talking about? Who cares? But missed out on some juiciness because this guy probably doesn't want to face the music for the actions that he caused, and he's hoping that he doesn't fire them in the finals. But I tell you what, I hope he does. And it's going to be absolutely fire when they meet, and it's going to be a barnstormer. But I tell you what, I put all the eggs in one basket, got rid of Taylor May and brought in Gutho. I think Gutho is possibly my favourite player, not because of the way he plays, well, partly because of the way he plays, he's a great player, but mainly because that one try he scored and he did that weird triangle symbol thing, and it was just a really cool kind of dance. I don't know, I loved it. Anyway, ever since that, I sometimes do that in my own, whenever I do something that I think's cool. So good on you, Gutho. You changed my life, literally, in a very small, meaningless way, but thanks anyway, brother, and all the best to you. Hopefully you guys are doing better than me Supercoach wise, and I won't be making videos next year because I'm such a fluff. So peace, all the best.